Has anyone ever had this happen? Your mom knew your wife was cheating and just stayed silent. How do you even go back to normal life after something like that? Hi Reddit. My name's Jake. I'm 34. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, quiet suburb, 2 parents, 1 golden retriever, and a backyard swing I helped my dad build. I was always close with my mom. She's the one who taught me that love meant loyalty, that honesty mattered more than comfort, that silence, sometimes, was the loudest betrayal. I met Alice in 2016. She was working at a design startup downtown, smart, sharp, always clutching a coffee and talking faster than anyone could keep up. By the end of our first year, we were living together. 2 years later, we were married. My mom adored her. They baked together during holidays, swapped Netflix recs, and when Alice and I started talking about having a baby, my mom showed up with a box of my old clothes from the attic. Everything felt solid, real, normal, until it didn't. It didn't happen all at once. That's the thing about betrayal, it's not loud. It creeps in slowly, until you don't even realize how far you've drifted from what you had. At first, it was the phone. She started flipping it face down every time she set it down. Said it was a habit from work. Then came the late meetings, not every week, but just enough to feel off. She wasn't dressing differently, but she was suddenly more tired in the evenings, less present, more guarded. We stopped laughing over dumb YouTube videos, stopped bickering over which takeout to order. Her phone buzzed more. She smiled at texts I never got to see. I asked once, jokingly, got a secret boyfriend? She laughed, but it felt like she already knew the answer. Still, I trusted her. Maybe that's the part that hurts most. That I wanted to trust her. That I kept telling myself it was just stress, work, hormones, whatever excuse fit the moment. Until the day my mom slipped. And everything cracked open. It was a Sunday afternoon. We were having brunch at my parents' house. Eggs, mimosas, the usual. Alice was scrolling through her phone, barely touching her food. My mom was talking about a new hiking trail she'd found, and my dad was pretending to care. Then my mom said something. Something small. Something stupid. She looked at Alice and said, "You're not going to his place again this week, are you?" The whole table went quiet. My dad froze mid-chew. Alice dropped her fork. I blinked. Whose place? My mom tried to recover, laughed awkwardly and said, "Oh, I meant that cafe you like, the one, downtown." But Alice's face said it all. She wasn't confused. She was terrified. That's when I knew. Not just that Alice was cheating, but that my own mother knew, and didn't tell me. I didn't say anything that day. Not to Alice. Not to my mom. I smiled, I helped clean up, I thanked them for brunch, and I left. But something inside me had snapped. That night, while Alice was in the shower, I opened her phone. She'd changed her passcode. That was all the confirmation I needed, but I still wasn't done. I knew her iPad synced with her texts. She'd forgotten to log out. There it was. A full thread with a guy named Flirty Messages. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing. A photo of the same necklace I gave her last Christmas, resting on the sheets of someone else's bed. And just like that, the illusion was gone. But what kept me up that night wasn't the messages. It was the fact that my mom, my own mother, had been lying to my face. For how long? I didn't sleep that night. By morning, my hands were shaking so bad I dropped my coffee mug in the sink. Alice walked in, asked if I was okay. I said we needed to talk. At first, she played dumb. What are you talking about? So I showed her the messages. Her face went pale. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just sat down. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said. It started after our anniversary. I felt lost. You were always busy with work, and I thought. I didn't let her finish. I asked one question. How long has my mother known? That's when she looked me in the eyes and said something I'll never forget. She was the one who told me to end it, weeks ago. I don't remember what I said after that. I just remember the sound of the front door slamming as I left the house, and the way my chest felt like it had caved in. I didn't go home that night. I drove around aimlessly, past the park where we used to walk the dog, past the diner where we had our first date, past the hospital where my mom held Alice's hand during my surgery last year. I ended up in a parking lot outside a 24-hour Walgreens, just sitting there. My phone buzzed nonstop. Alice, my mom, even my dad. I didn't answer any of them. The next morning, I showed up at my parents' place. My dad opened the door like he'd aged 10 years overnight. I walked past him, straight to my mom, and I asked her, point blank, "How long did you know?" She didn't deny it, didn't lie. She just sighed and said, "I thought you already knew. I didn't want to hurt you more." No apology, no tears, just a calm, almost maternal, "I did what I thought was right." I left before I said something I'd regret. That night, I realized something. Silence isn't neutral. It takes a side. I spent the next few nights crashing at a friend's place. An old college buddy who didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and threw a blanket on the couch. But even with a roof over my head, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. The texts, the brunch slip, the look on my mom's face. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the gaslight reality of knowing two of the people I trusted most had kept me in the dark. Together. One night, maybe 4 days in, I found myself standing in the middle of a grocery store, staring blankly at a row of cereal boxes. I don't even know why I was there. I hadn't eaten properly in days. And then it hit me. Not the pain. That had been there for a while. What hit me was the emptiness. Like I didn't exist in my own life anymore. That night, I called a therapist. Not because I wanted to talk. Because I didn't trust myself not to spiral if I didn't. The therapist didn't give me answers. She gave me questions. Who are you when no one else is in the room? What do you owe yourself? Would you stay in this marriage if you had been the one who cheated and your mother had helped you hide it? That last one broke me. A week later, I asked Alice to meet me at a neutral place, a park near our old apartment. She showed up in a grey hoodie, no makeup, like she wanted to look small. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Just done. "I'm filing," I said. She nodded. Didn't argue. Then I told her something else. I don't know if I'll ever speak to my mom again. That part clearly caught her off guard. She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. I think she finally understood. It wasn't just her I was leaving. The divorce wasn't messy. No kids, no joint business, no public drama. Just paperwork, boxes, and a silence that stretched out for weeks. I moved into a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, mismatched furniture, and way too much space for one person. But for the first time in a long time, it was mine. I started running again. Not to get in shape, but because it was the only thing that made my chest hurt in a way I could control. I stopped checking Alice's socials. Stopped wondering what my mom was thinking. I needed to stop bleeding for people who wouldn't have even noticed the wound. 3 months in, I ran into Alice at Trader Joe's. She said hi. I nodded. That was it. There was no anger. No tension. Just two people with a shared past, standing in front of frozen peas. And somehow, that felt like closure. It's been almost a year. I haven't spoken to my mom. I'm not sure if I ever will. Some wounds don't bleed. They just stay open. Quiet. But always there. What I've learned is this. You can survive betrayal. Even double betrayal. But the hardest part isn't the heartbreak. It's rebuilding the version of yourself that trusted so easily. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. But I'm different. If you're reading this, and you've ever been lied to by someone you loved, really loved, then hear this. You're not crazy for believing the best in people. But you're not weak for walking away, either. Sometimes love is choosing yourself, even when it hurts like hell.